Somewhere in this vast city, another entrepreneur is drowning in hardship, waiting for a glimmer of hope. And one day, when night falls, he will appear again with his threadbare coat and piercing eyes, bringing a new secret to change everything. The Wealthy Beggar and the Secret of Copying. New York at night, when a thin veil of fog drapes the city, the dazzling neon lights from towering buildings dance on the wet pavement, painting a picture both beautiful and chilling. Fifth Avenue, where the heart of the fashion world beats fiercely, never sleeps. Big brands with gleaming glass windows flaunt their luxury. But amid that glamorous current, a small fashion boutique sits in a frightening silence, like a lone, somber note lost in a noisy symphony. Emma, the shop's owner, sits behind the cash register, her arms crossed tightly over her chest as if holding herself together to contain the rage boiling within. Her eyes are glued to the revenue report, red numbers glaring like they're mocking her efforts. Sales have plummeted, not because her clothes lack quality, not because she lacks creativity, but because of a bitter truth. Her competitors have copied her designs entirely. They've taken her ideas, mass-produced them at lower prices, advertised them aggressively, and stolen the customers she poured her heart into building. She clenches her fists, nails digging into her flesh, her body trembling with fury. I created. I put so much effort into this brand, and in just a few months, they took it all, she mutters, her voice choking as if on the verge of tears. Suddenly, a voice cuts through her chaotic thoughts from the doorway.
Have you registered your design copyrights?
Emma startles, her head snapping up, heart pounding. Under the faint golden glow of the streetlight streaming in, a strange figure emerges. There he stands, his weathered coat caked with road dust, his hair a tangled mess as if never combed, but his eyes, sharp and deep, hold a world of mystery. The Wealthy Beggar, a name whispered about him in tales too wild to believe. Emma frowns, her voice tinged with suspicion and irritation.
Who are you?
The beggar doesn't answer right away. He steps inside, dragging an old, creaky wooden chair, and sits across from her. He taps the table lightly, his movement calm yet brimming with confidence.
I'm the one who helps entrepreneurs stop crying over being copied.
Emma scoffs, her pride rising to mask her pain.
You think I'm whining? I'm figuring out how to sue them?
The beggar tilts his head, his piercing gaze seeming to cut through her soul.
And will you win?
The question hits her like a punch to the chest, silencing her. She wants to sue, longs to drag those copycats to court, but deep down, she knows she doesn't stand a chance. Her rivals are a massive corporation with money, connections, and a formidable legal team behind them. And her? Just a small-time entrepreneur, an ant among elephants. She has no advantage, nothing but the helplessness gnawing at her dreams. The beggar smirks, his smile both enigmatic and challenging.
The issue isn't whether to sue or not. It's whether you truly own what you've created.
He pulls a crumpled sheet of paper from his tattered coat and places it on the table before her. It's an industrial design protection form from the USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Blank, but folded neatly like a prized possession. He points to it, his voice steady yet weighty.
If you haven't protected your product designs, then legally, they were never yours.
Emma's eyes widen, so stunned she nearly drops the pen in her hand.
Where did you get this?
The beggar gives a faint smile, wordless but chilling enough to send a shiver down her spine. For the first time, Emma looks at him without disdain. She begins to sense something different. He isn't just some filthy drifter. He knows the law. No, more than that. He seems to have once mastered it, stood in a position she can't even fathom. Emma picks up the paper, her fingers tracing the fine print, thinking for a moment before nodding firmly.
Fine, I'll protect my designs.
The beggar offers a slight smile, but his cold eyes suggest the story doesn't end there.
But that's not all. If you only protect them, you're just playing defense. You need to attack.
Emma furrows her brow, surprised by his bold phrasing.
Attack?
He nods, pulling an old leather-bound notebook from his coat, its cover worn but its pages filled with meticulous notes. He flips through it quickly, stopping at a simple yet precise diagram, pointing to each line like a general plotting a battle plan.
Don't just protect what you're selling now. Create a future collection and protect it first. When they copy it and sell it, sue them immediately. But not because you want to sue, because you want royalties. Launch a media campaign. Tell the world how much our designs get copied. When customers know you're the one being copied, they'll want the original.
Emma listens, her heart racing as if a light has pierced her despair. She looks at the beggar, then at the diagram in his notebook, her mind buzzing with new ideas. He hasn't just given advice, he's handed her a weapon, a flawless strategy to turn her enemies into prey. 2 months later, a bombshell ripples through the fashion industry across social media. A small fashion brand just won a lawsuit against a major chain for design theft. Emma didn't just win. She brought her rivals to their knees, begging for mercy. She received a massive settlement, plus a percentage of the profits from the products they'd already sold. In total, millions of dollars flowed into her account. But the most astonishing part wasn't the money. It was her sales exploding like fireworks in the night sky. Customers flocked to her shop, scrambling to buy the original designs from the one who was copied. Emma's name soared, not just as a victim, but as an unbeatable warrior. Those who'd mocked the beggar, who'd sneered at his ragged coat, now bow their heads in silence. He wasn't crazy. He was always one step ahead, a hidden piece on life's grand chessboard. That evening, as Emma closes up shop, she finds a small note tucked under the register. On it, a single handwritten line in bold, messy strokes brims with power.
People don't buy clothes. They buy the feeling of a brand.
Below it, the familiar signature, The Wealthy Beggar. Emma looks up, peering out through the glass door. Under the flickering lights of Times Square, a figure in an old coat fades into the bustling crowd. She wants to run after him, to shout and ask who he is, but she stops herself. She knows he doesn't want to be found. He's someone who once stood at the top, who held rules others could only dream of. A brilliant intellectual property lawyer, now wandering among desperate entrepreneurs, handing them the key to unlock new doors. He isn't just a beggar. He's a nameless legend, a phantom of intellect and mystery. The lessons from this story aren't dry words. They're vibrant truths. First, if you don't protect your ideas, others will take them without hesitation. Intellectual property law isn't for the weak. It's a weapon for those who know how to wield it. Second, copying isn't the problem. It's how you turn it to your advantage. The one copied isn't the loser. The one who turns copying into profit is the true victor. And finally, a brand isn't just a product. It's a feeling, a story, the trust customers place in every stitch and seam. The beggar vanishes again, as he always does. But this time, a secret has slipped out. He isn't a nobody. He knows too much about the law, about intellectual property, about playing the game of giants. He can't just be a drifter. So, who is he? Why does he choose to live like this, silently among the cold streets? The question hangs unanswered. Somewhere in this vast city, another entrepreneur is drowning in hardship, waiting for a glimmer of hope. And one day, when night falls, he will appear again with his threadbare coat and piercing eyes, bringing a new secret to change everything.